Welcome back to our channel where we dive deep into the fascinating world of rare coins and hidden treasures, and today we're bringing you an extraordinary story that combines history, minting mysteries, and a small copper coin that has captured the attention of collectors worldwide, the incredible 1984 Lincoln 1-cent coin that, believe it or not, has fetched tens of thousands of dollars at auction, sometimes even reaching beyond the $35,000 mark. And it's not because it's made of gold or embedded with jewels, but because of the strange, rare, and valuable errors and anomalies that turned an otherwise ordinary penny into a numismatic legend. So buckle up as we explore every nook and cranny of this era coin's journey from a simple 1-cent piece to a collector's dream. And trust me, you don't want to miss the details because each flaw, each imperfection, and each minting oversight contributes to the immense value and desirability of this iconic coin. And if you have a jar of pennies sitting somewhere in your home, by the end of this video you'll probably want to dig through them with a magnifying glass because just one coin like this could change your life financially. Now let's begin by understanding what exactly happened in 1984 at the Denver Mint, a facility usually known for its precision and high production standards, but that year something slipped through the cracks. Several coins were produced with major and minor errors, and although most were caught and melted or discarded, a few made it into circulation, and among them, one particular type of error emerged that would astonish collectors: the double die error, a mistake that occurs when a coin's die is improperly manufactured, leading to doubling of the design elements. And in the case of the 1984 penny, this doubling is most prominent in the depiction of Abraham Lincoln's ear, giving it what's now famously referred to as a doubled ear appearance. And what's so fascinating about this specific error is how subtle yet distinct it is. At first glance, you might not even notice it, but under closer inspection, especially with magnification, you'll see that Lincoln's earlobe appears to have a ghostly twin underneath, not a post-mint damage or a strike-through from debris but an actual second impression caused by die misalignment. And that kind of doubling, especially in a prominent part of a president's portrait, is a big deal in the coin collecting world because it proves that the error occurred during the minting process, not after the coin entered circulation, giving it far more credibility and value among numismatists. And what adds to the mystery is how limited this error is, with only a few examples known to exist and even fewer that are still in high-grade condition. And speaking of condition, that's the next important factor to understand. Grade is everything when it comes to evaluating coin value, and the 1984 doubled ear penny in mint state condition, especially those graded MS65 or higher by professional grading services like PCGS or NGC, can fetch astronomical prices. And the reason is simple: finding any coin from the 1980s in pristine, uncirculated condition is already tough, let alone one with a known error that only affects a fraction of the total mintage. And when you combine scarcity, demand, and eye appeal, you get the perfect recipe for high value, and collectors and investors alike scramble to get their hands on one. And auctions have shown that when two or more people are determined to secure such a rarity, bidding wars break out, pushing prices into the tens of thousands. But that's not the only thing going on with the 1984 penny, because aside from the famous doubled ear, there are other issues and errors that make certain specimens extremely sought after, such as off-center strikes, where the coin isn't aligned properly during striking and ends up with part of the design missing or shifted dramatically to one side. And then there are coins with broad strikes, where the collar fails and the metal spreads beyond normal boundaries, making a coin appear flatter and wider than usual. And while these errors can occur on any coin, having them appear on an already rare variety like the 1984 only amplifies their value even more. And then we also see die cracks, cuds, and die chips, all of which are the result of aging or damaged dies being used too long. And these types of anomalies add unique visual features that differentiate one coin from another, essentially turning each flawed penny into a one-of-a-kind collectible. And with modern technology and the accessibility of online auction platforms, more people are becoming aware of these hidden gems, resulting in greater competition and skyrocketing prices for coins that once passed through our hands without a second thought. And what's really compelling about the story of the 1984 penny is the broader context it reveals about U.S. minting in the 1980s, a time of transition, evolving standards, and the occasional lapse in quality control. And while most era coins from this era might be worth a few dollars, this particular type has transcended typical era coin status to become a legend in its own right. And perhaps what truly fuels the fascination is the dream that anyone, even a child checking change from a vending machine, might stumble upon one and unknowingly hold a tiny fortune in their palm. And stories like that have happened, with people finding rare varieties in pocket change or bulk coin rolls from the bank. And in fact, roll hunting has become a serious hobby for many because the payoff can be enormous when a rare coin like this surfaces. And beyond the monetary aspect, there's a deep historical and educational component too, because learning to identify such errors sharpens your understanding of minting techniques, quality assurance systems, and the delicate process that transforms blank planchets into detailed pieces of art and commerce. And let's not forget the sentimental and historical value. This is a coin that's over 40 years old, carrying the legacy of President Lincoln's image, minted during the Reagan era, a time of political change and economic transformation in America. And yet somehow, amid millions of ordinary coins, a small number were born with defects that turned them into stars of the numismatic world. And when you think about how many people discard pennies or overlook them, it's mind-blowing to realize that just one such coin could pay off a car loan, student debt, or even fund a vacation. And the 1984 double die penny teaches us an important lesson: that value doesn't always come from perfection. Sometimes it's the flaws, the quirks, the unexpected deviations from the norm that makes something truly special. And whether you're a veteran coin collector or just someone curious about the treasures that might be hiding in your pocket, this story is a testament to how ordinary objects can become extraordinary through circumstance and rarity. And if you're wondering how to spot one of these valuable pennies yourself, it starts with observation and research. Familiarize yourself with images of the double deer. Look at verified examples from certified grading companies. Use proper magnification tools like jeweler's loupes or microscopes. And examine each Lincoln cent from 1984 with a critical eye, especially those with the Denver Mint mark just below the date. And don't ignore coins that look odd or damaged, because sometimes what appears to be wear or post-mint damage is actually an overlooked error. And if you think you've found something interesting, consider submitting it to a professional grading service for authentication, because even if you're unsure, their expertise can confirm whether you've found a genuine double die variety or another type of valuable error. And keep in mind that condition still plays a huge role, so store potential finds in safe, non-abrasive containers and avoid cleaning them, which can drastically lower their value. And as more people enter the world of coin collecting and become educated about error varieties like the 1984 double deer, the demand for high-quality specimens will likely continue to grow, and scarcity will only increase, especially as more examples are graded and locked away in private collections, reducing the number of available coins on the open market. And the long-term outlook suggests that coins like this will not only retain their value but may even appreciate over time, making them an excellent addition to any collection or investment portfolio. And who knows, maybe your change jar holds the next great find, a coin that could change your life forever. So thanks for joining us on this incredible journey into the world of the 1984 penny, a story of mistakes, metal, mystery, and monumental value. And if you enjoyed learning about this amazing coin, make sure to like, share, and subscribe, because there's a whole world of hidden treasures waiting to be discovered, and we'll be right here to bring you every exciting detail. And now, continuing our journey into the incredible world of rare pennies hiding in plain sight, let's talk about another surprising and highly valuable treasure that has stunned collectors and casual finders alike: the elusive and mysterious 1986 Lincoln 1-cent coin, a small copper-plated zinc piece that under the right circumstances has been known to sell for upwards of $30,000. And just like the 1984 double deer cent, the 1986 penny has its own set of anomalies, minting errors, and unique characteristics that elevate its value from face value to a five-figure payday. And it all starts with a year that most people would otherwise overlook, a time when the Lincoln cent design had been around for decades and the U.S. Mint had already shifted away from solid copper planchets in favor of copper-plated zinc due to rising metal costs, and while the new composition was more economical, it also introduced a whole host of new minting challenges, making the 1980s a hotbed for errors and flaws, and the 1986 penny, particularly those struck at the Philadelphia Mint with no mint mark, carries a legacy that's as much about rarity as it is about the strange quirks of the minting process, and among the most valuable and highly prized 1986 cents are those with major double die obverse errors, where critical design features like the date, the word liberty, and the motto "I in God We Trust" show distinct doubling that's visible to the naked eye or with just minimal magnification, and these kinds of doubled dies are not only striking in appearance but also historically significant because they result from a failure in the hubbing process when a working die receives more than one misaligned impression from the hub, causing all coins struck from that die to exhibit doubling, and while the mint typically catches and retires faulty dies early in their life cycle, some manage to produce enough coins before being discovered that a few examples slip through, and these surviving coins become the holy grails of error coin collecting, and for the 1986 penny, the double die obverse is a standout, with dramatic and obvious doubling especially around Lincoln's profile and key inscriptions that is unmistakable once you've seen it. And then there's another variety of the 1986 cent that commands top dollar, and that's the missing clad layer, or partial plating, error, a problem that arises due to issues during the plating process of the zinc core with a copper shell, and when the plating doesn't adhere properly or is entirely missing on one or both sides, the result is a coin that looks off color, silvery or gray instead of the traditional reddish tone of a standard Lincoln cent, and this alone can be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars depending on the extent of the error. But combine that with a doubled die or an off-center strike, and now you're talking about a unique multi-error specimen that can blow past the $10,000 mark and go well into $30,000 territory when authenticated and auctioned to the right collector. And let's not forget about off-metal strikes, another rare anomaly where a coin intended to be a cent ends up struck on the wrong planchet, like a dime or foreign coin blank, resulting in a coin that's smaller, lighter, and made of different metal. And when this happens, especially on a coin like the 1986 cent which was struck in the millions with mostly standard results, it's such an extreme outlier that collectors go wild over it, and authenticated off-metal 1986 cents have commanded huge sums at auction, particularly those struck on planchets from other denominations or countries that somehow found their way into the presses at one of the U.S. mints. And while those kinds of errors are extremely rare, they do exist and have been documented, verified, and sold, adding to the legend of the 1986 penny. And then there's the matter of die breaks and retained cut errors, both of which involve parts of the die breaking off or failing during the minting process and leaving behind raised blobs or chunks on the coin's surface, which depending on their size and location can make for dramatic visual oddities that turn heads among collectors, especially when they affect key design areas like Lincoln's head or the date. And high-grade versions of these flawed coins, especially those with mint state or proof-like qualities, are in extremely short supply, driving up demand and pushing prices to extraordinary levels. And the real kicker is that most people have no idea that their pocket change might contain such rare and valuable mistakes because they assume all modern coins are essentially worthless due to mass production and recent age. But as the 1986 penny proves, even relatively new coins can carry enormous value if the right combination of errors is present, and it all comes down to rarity, visibility of the error, demand among collectors, and overall condition. And it's not just serious numismatists who are making these discoveries. Everyday people are finding these coins in old jars, cash registers, bank rolls, or inherited collections, and realizing only after doing some research or getting them graded that they're holding something extraordinary. And this is why knowledge is power in the coin world, because knowing what to look for, whether it's strong doubling, off-metal characteristics, plating anomalies, or die break formations, can mean the difference between tossing a penny aside or cashing it in for a down payment on a house. And what's also interesting is that the 1986 cent marks a kind of transitional period in U.S. coinage history where quality control was still catching up with modern production speeds, meaning more room for errors to occur. And while the U.S. Mint has since improved its technology and detection methods, coins from the 1980s like the 1986 cent represent a golden era for collectors who hunt for anomalies. And while not every 1986 penny is worth thousands, the ones that have become legends, making appearances in major auctions, being featured in coin collecting magazines, and even earning their own designations in grading catalogs. And the more high-profile these coins become, the more awareness grows, increasing both demand and value. And there's no telling just how many valuable 1986 cents remain undiscovered in drawers, jars, and coin machines across the country. So if you have any saved pennies from the 80s, or plan to start hunting, be sure to pay extra attention to the 1986 issues, especially ones from the Philadelphia Mint with clear doubling, plating issues, or unusual weights or colors. And always remember that coins with errors, especially those that are rare and visually dramatic, will always command a premium over standard issues, particularly when in good condition and authenticated by a reputable third-party grading service. And don't be discouraged if your first finds turn out to be ordinary, because even the process of searching and learning adds to your ability to spot the real treasures. And each time you identify a potential error coin, take a close look under magnification, compare it to known examples from trusted sources, and consider getting expert opinions before assuming it's worthless. Because as we've seen with the 1986 penny, one person's pocket change can become another person's prized collectible. And sometimes all it takes is being in the right place at the right time with the right coin in your hand to realize that even something as humble as a single cent can carry a story, a history, and a value far beyond what it was ever meant to be. So stay curious, keep your eyes open, and keep checking your change, because the next coin that changes your life might already be sitting right in front of you.